Good morning, everybody. Today we're gonna cover. James is gonna talk about a water tank. Sorry, a planter project that was done just a few months ago. It's being done, and it's all complete now. And what's interesting about this project is it not only the 50,000 square feet of planters, they have about 32 planters. Jim is going to talk a little bit more about that. But in this project, they have the 10-year planter warranty with overburden. So, James, go ahead.
Morning, everybody. Like Mario was saying, we did 32 planters with a 10-year planter warranty with an overburden. The overburden warranty, I'm going to explain that a little bit. When we offer the overburden warranty, the overburden what's the word? I can't think of the word for it. What we do with the overburden warranty is it is Alchemco's responsibility that if there is a possible leak or something to fix, we are responsible for removing all the dirts, plants, and vegetation that's in that planter, fixing the leak or repair, and then putting everything back like it was. So that's what the overburden consists of. There it goes. Here's a crude detail of the planters. As you can see here, what we have is we have TechCrete 2500 going on the inside of the floor of the planter, up the wall, over the top of the parapet wall, and down onto the other side of the parapet wall. So we completely want to enclose the planter system with the TechCrete 2500 system.
So what do you think are the main differences between this system and our traditional system to other type of areas?
For this we go really overboard with material and protection on this and on this system to provide a lot more protection, because here when we're planters, we're dealing with organic decaying. So we have that and the other organic life growing into the area, and possible animals coming in and out of the material, digging into it and trying to damage our system. When you have a typical coating system, once your plants, your mulch, and your fertilizer start getting into your planters, it'll start decaying and creating the enzymes that will break down your traditional liquid applied coating on your planters.
Okay.
So our system, since we embed into the concrete, we stop that right there. So we can't be affected by those organic materials.
Okay.
And as you can see here, also in the detail, we're going with the cant bead at the parapet, the wall floor joint. And a little bit different on this, we bring our flashing out 8 inches onto the surface, and we bring our flashing all the way up to the dirt line. So we're going to go up a lot higher on the walls with this. And then we also add a drainage mat and a protection board for this warranty. We're going to begin here with the steps of them cleaning.
Do you know how old this structure was, James? I know that it's an older structure, but do you know how old this is?
This is before they start pressure washing. I'm not sure exactly how old the structure was, but it is over 20 years. Okay. It could be a little more. It's been a building down there in the Miami area, downtown Miami area, for quite some time. You see they're going in here, they're removing any debris, any loose debris before they start pressure washing. So they're getting this swept up, removing all loose debris, anything they had to repair or chip out, unsound concrete or anything like that. Here they're going to start the pressure washing process. After all the loose debris is removed, it's just simple, just like your parking garages and everything else. We're going to pressure wash the system clean. Here's a little bit better video. As you can see here, even after all the loose debris was cleaned up, you can see how dirty the surface was. It's just simple, them going back and forth, making sure they get all that dirt out of the surface of the concrete to get those pores opened up. Here's a little speeded up version of it.
Do
These
you know
areas.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mark.
Do you know they only had 2 people doing this the entire process on these planter, or they had more people?
On the prep area, they had only 2 people doing the prep, the cleaning and the power washing. Also, I believe they just added a 3rd person. No. On this planter itself, they did it with just 2 people completely.
Okay.
This whole process was done with, I believe, a day and a half with pressure washing to the final step of the liquid, the product application, not with the protection board and drainage mat.
I see one drain. Is this the only drain that they had on this?
Yes, on this planter here. Typically on these, unless you have a planter over a certain footage, I believe it's over 50 feet long, it's only required 1 drain in the state of Florida.
Okay.
So here they only had that 1 drain, and what it will end up being is they will put a pipe standing up to the dirt level with a drain on top of that, and then they'll have holes drilled into the PVC piping with a mesh around it to keep any debris out, to help with any of the excess draining from the dirt.
Okay. Very good.
Here you can see this is how they were transferring everything from the pumps. They decided to use a handheld mechanical sprayer on this one. So they have the transfer pump here. And as you can see in the background there, those are the rolls of our protection board that will go along the walls of the planter when everything is installed. Here they're getting their Ryobi. They just use a Ryobi pump. It's a nice little gadget for a small area. You can do roughly around 4,000 square feet an hour with it, a little bit more than a backpack sprayer. It has a hose that goes directly there, and you can drop it into a 55-gallon drum or a 5-gallon bucket, and it will pump it directly up to the gun and spray it out at a nice consistent rate. You can see there, they're just measuring the depth of the bucket. I'm going to throw it in right there, and then they're going to start applying.
Do you happen to know how long the battery lasts?
Those batteries, with personal experience, those batteries can spray out a 55-gallon drum of TechCrete 2500 on one
that's
charge.
great. So
yeah,
over
they
2 hours.
do very well. Yes, over 2 hours. It's over a 2 hour.
All right. Yeah, what I like about that, not only the consistency that James was talking about, but also you don't have to carry the 4 gallons of product, just like if you're using a backpack sprayer, you're carrying the weight. In this case, the pails, we can see the pail there, so the guy's not carrying the pail, so it becomes an easier application.
And it has a pretty good length on it too, as well. They're not doing it much, but he would be able to set the bucket about 10 feet away from where he was spraying and work his way back, then move it back. So it could be done with one person and still get the same square footage rate out of it.
Very
you
good.
See here, it's similar using to the pump sprayer, the sump pumps and the water hose, except it's just, we don't have that 15 to 20,000 square foot rate, but we do have between 4 to 5,000, depending on how fast the guys want to move. And like I said, with Mario, it's a lot easier on the guys. They're not carrying 4 gallons of material on their back, trying to pump it out real fast. So they're able to continue without being exhausted.
And the cost of this equipment is similar to the cost of an electric backpack sprayer, right?
Yeah, believe it or not, that pump, I believe, runs around between $79 to $90.
Okay, so it's even less expensive.
Yeah, depending on the area that you get it. It'll run a little bit more if you want to buy extra batteries for it. So with that and the extra batteries, it's basically the same price as a battery powered backpack sprayer.
Okay. I see here that they are doing the vertical and the horizontal on the same
Yes.
time. So
Well, yeah, what they don't, they've already sprayed the outside of the area there, and now
okay,
they're doing the inside. They're going ahead and they're doing the vertical walls and the horizontal floor right there, which
okay.
is real easy done. It's a good process that they can be able to do it all at once right there.
Do you prefer to do all the? Do you think it's a better better production when you do all the walls first, then you do the floor, or you think it's best to do both on the same time?
If you're able, productive wise, if you're able to do both at the same time, it is with planners. What I came up with their plan here is they had multiple planners ready, and I had them do the outside of multiple planners. That way they wouldn't have to jump in and out doing it. So one day they did the whole outside of the walls and the top of the wall on the outside. And then today they picked this day to come in and do the inside of the walls and the floor at the same time. So
Okay.
that way they were able to work efficient and get quite a bit done.
Okay, great.
You see, this thing works great. With this system right here, it sprays out consistently enough where we don't have to do the 2 coats of 400 square feet. It puts it on just perfect at the 200 square feet per gallon, where we get the good absorption rate. That's why I recommend these to a lot of the contractors for these smaller areas to do. I believe it only took them about 20 minutes to do the whole inside of this. Here
And,
it's already been completed and we're just waiting for it to dry.
and you said that this specific planter was how many square feet?
I believe this one was roughly around, it was between 10 to 11,000 square feet.
Okay.
Here they're starting the washing phase. These guys were great about this. They took to this product very well. You can see we got one guy washing the walls here. And since this is a planer system and it is typically designed to hold some sort of water, so we have the extra guy there making sure all the excess water is getting pushed to the drain so we can get all that excess residue off the surface.
I like this video because often people ask how we do the washing step on vertical, and in the end of the day, we just have to use water multiple times, as we're not able to have standing water on vertical like we would have if it's a horizontal application. We just let water sit, but in this case, as we can see, we're just washing very well multiple times.
And also with the planters, you do have a little leeway if you don't get it completely washed, because it will be covered in dirt and protection board and stuff. So if you do get a little bit of the residue left and get some of the white effervescence look to it, it'll be okay because we're completely covering it up with dirt and plants and everything. It'll never be seen.
And my suggestion, depending on the size of the area and it has a lot of variables, but in the end of the day, we should spend at least half of the time that we use to apply the material, we should spend washing the area. So if we need a rule of thumb, if the guy spend 1 hour applying the material, we should have at least 30 minutes of water of washing the area, mainly because for a new contractor, his impression after he waters the area is that area is going to be it's already wet, but understanding that let me try to spend half of the time that I spend watering, half of the time that I spend applying, let me spend watering. That is that's very
yeah, and it changes from region. Here in Miami, we have a little bit better conditions than most of the other countries because we constantly have a good heat, sun shining. It heats up normally to about 80, 90 degrees. So the more it dries, the easier, the less washing you'll have to do it. The easier it is to wash. It comes off and activates and it rinses cleanly a lot more better the more it dries. Some areas you get the cloudy days, it takes longer to dry, and the longer it dries, the more water you have to use.
Yeah, here's the accelerating agent and crack and void application. I think we have a question from Amit. Go ahead, Amit.
Yeah, hi. Maury, I was just wondering if we were to do this application, not only planters, any other, in a rainy season, like when you can't predict after applying TechCrete if it rains suddenly or what happens then?
It depends on how long your material's been down. If it's been down between 2 to 3 hours between your application and it hasn't completely dried and it starts raining, we're in a pretty good position where it's absorbed enough. But if you put it down and it rains within 30 minutes to an hour, then unfortunately we'd have to, once the rain stops, get in there, wash the residue off, then we'd have to reapply. But it's ideal to make sure that you have at least five hours of sun to do this, to do your project.
Okay, right.
James, it's Tim Loftus. You brought to mind me thinking, obviously we're coming into our colder season up here in the Northeast, and I know that we want to do it at 40 and rising. Can we apply heat blowers to the deck?
For the first application, yes, to apply the TechCrete 2500 for your first step, you would be able to use heaters, or what we use down here after it rains and clears up, we will torch the area dry. So you are able to warm your concrete up if you can keep it above 40 for at least 6 hours. But for your other processes, you wouldn't be, for your accelerator agent, you wouldn't be able to heat your concrete because we don't want to heat up the TechCrete 2500 system mechanically.
Got it. Thanks.
And here it's a accelerating agent went on just like the TechCrete, and then here again we got the second washing, which basically it's just a wetting. We really don't want to wash any accelerator off the surface. We just want to wet it and have that sit there and penetrate into the surface as much as possible. So we really just like to get the areas really good and wet so the accelerator agent soaks into the concrete. We really don't want to wash it off. We do want to get any of the puddles, as you can see the guys just blowing the big puddles out, so we don't want standing water. But other than that, we just want to get it good and wet, 3 to 4 gallons per 100 square feet. So what the guys here are doing for the pilot, they had an expansion board right there that was sticking out just a little bit. So they're just getting that cleared out of the way so they can put a cant bead. Because these cant beads, we want to make sure that we have a 3-side adhesion. That's the only area that we want 3-side adhesion, is when we have a floor to wall joint, which we call a cant bead in the industry. So they're getting that cleared out. So we have an adhesion. We want the caulking to adhere to the vertical part of the parapet wall to the areas where the wall and the floor meet, and we want adhesion to the floor itself. So that gives us a good 3-sided adhesion.
In this case, this project was done before we had our policy sealant S+, the one that's silicone based. So this one is polyurethane based, and well, I'm gonna let you talk about the caulking knife.
This is, we do want a tool joint, so we do get the correct adhesions on each side. So that's why after they put their bead out, we do want the joint tooled, a nice tooled finish. That way it does two things there. It makes sure we get our adhesion on the wall, the floor area, and the floor to joint where they come together. And also we want that 45 degrees or so, so what water does come, it sheds off and it doesn't sit on top. This is not the best practices to do here, but what they're using here is achieving what we need done. Here we do a little bit different on our pipes that are extruding through the walls. What we use on the planters is we use an EPDM uncured flashing. What they'll do there is they'll wrap an area around the wall. As you can see, he's heating it up and pressing on it with a roller. Then he'll wrap another piece around the pipe 6 inches out from the wall to give us our protection there, instead of doing that with our poly flash. Here, this is our poly membrane flashing. We're a little bit different here. Typically here on a parking structure, we're only looking for 1/2 to 1 mil thickness. Here with the planters, we're looking for 30 dry mils. So to achieve the 30 dry mils, the guys are gonna have to do 2 to 3 coats to build it up, especially on your up walls. You can't put 50 wet mils to get our 30 on a vertical surface. It'll just slope down. So you can see here as he's rolling, once he gets to the wall here, you'll see a good way to indication to tell you got your thing is you'll start seeing rope-like patterns in the material, and that's how you know you're
And this material that they
good
are
first coat on the area that we're looking for. We want 2 to 3 coats just like that.
and the material that they are applying, the polymembrane flashing, is silicone based. So even with our, if you're using the silicone caulking, that would also be, you will not have adhesion issues between the caulking and the flashing.
Won't have adhesion issues here. Here's the trick about your silicones and urethanes. You can put silicone on top of urethanes, but you can't put urethanes on top of silicones. I know it sounds weird, but for some reason, the silicone will adhere to a cured urethane, but the urethane will not adhere to a cured silicone. It's like putting oil-based paint on top of latex. It'll peel right off. But you can put latex on top of oil, but you can put oil on top of latex.
Nothing sticks to silicone.
Except silicone.
Right.
But silicone loves to stick to other materials. Also here, I forgot to mention that we do go a lot higher with, I think I did mention it again, but on the surface, we are going to go 8 inches out on the floor, and then we're going to start building up the height of the poly flashing up to the dirt area.
Yeah,
so you can see here, he's getting nice coats on there, and that's what we're looking for.
The main differences here to another project, I would say that, you know, we are doing the waterproofing all the way. So in this case, you know, we're doing the entire wall. We would only do that if that was a water tank. And the flashing, we are doing 8 inches instead of 4. And then we're going to cover the protection board later on. But I think for now, the main difference is that, right, James? Do we have anything else different?
Well, the main difference is the amount of material we use. We do go overburden with it. Like I said, Your parking structures, we're only looking to be between a half to 1 mil thick. Here, we're looking for 30 dry mills. So we're going to be putting a lot more material, flashing material on these projects.
So this was the final result prior to the protection board. It looks like a clean, beautiful planter.
This is how it would look without an overburden warranty. That was just a regular planter warranty. That is a perfect example of how one should look. But since we're doing the overburden warranty, we are going to add the black, as you can see at the bottom, is our drainage mat, and the orange is going to be our protection board that goes against and to help protect our walls. Very simple install. The guys took it out right there. And before we put the protection board and drainage mat in, we did do our water testing, our standing water tests. So we plugged off all the drains. This one actually here is about, I think about 6 inches of water in this area here. Here is the same way here. We let these sit for 24 hours. And we had 31 successful standing water tests first go. We unfortunately did have one planter that did not pass the water test due to an improper drain installation. But the guys were able to remove the drain, install it properly, and then once it was installed properly, we did the water test again, and it passed with flying colors. These did remarkably well with the standing water test. We actually put a lot more water than you typically would. Usually you would put 1 to 2 inches and let it sit between 6 to 8 hours. Here we put anywhere between 8 inches. In some planters, we actually put 2 feet of water in, and we let them sit for 24 hours.
Well, is there anything in particular, James, that I think it would be that we should consider when we're doing planters?
Planters, when we do the planters and we offer the overburden warranty, we pay very close attention how everything is done. We get a little more tedious with these because it's a lot more liability for us removing everything to come in to fix a small little crack that they didn't treat properly, or if they happen to miss a crack and void step, they didn't spray it with crack and void, or they didn't pre-treat it with TechCrete 2500. So we get a little meticulous with the planter options. We want to make sure everything is perfect first time before we start going any further with the drainage mat and protection board.
Okay. I see a question here from Dottie. Dottie, go ahead.
Hi, James. I see that there is applications of flashings at the corner of the wall and the floor. What if there is water stops installed at the corner or at any construction joints? Do we still need the flashings, or we can do it without flashing? Thank you.
Yes, we want flashing in all the floor to wall joints, and corner joints we just require the caulking and just the 8 inches up with the flashing. We don't have to go all the way up the corners with the flashing, but we do require the caulking to go all the way up to the top.
And Dottie, these areas, the angle changes and construction or cold joints, they're often the areas where we have the highest risk of any type of leaking. So even sometimes we don't necessarily use flashing, but every time that we can, if in this case we had to use because it was an existing construction and there were no water stops. But even on new construction, ideally, if we are able to use a flashing on top of the water stop that was already installed, that would guarantee a watertight project.
Yeah, Mario, because sometimes if they are interested in TechCrete or Crete Pro, for examples, they are interested in flashing will make the designs not real natural look. So I think they can avoid it by install water stops and in using the Crete Pro or TechCrete systems and make the view natural without flashings there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Mario or James, my question's about the drainage mat protection board. I'm promoting this product as indestructible as the deck is, that it can't be punctured, therefore it is almost indestructible. I guess I understand the idea of the drainage board to move the water to the drain so it doesn't sit there, but are we putting it in there? We're calling it protection as well. Are we putting it in there to protect the deck also? And is that a message we want to send? Because, for example, in that job, James, you showed that there's ponding water, it doesn't slope to the drain anyways.
Correct. We use the protection boards just as another layer of defense. If we do that because of the overburden warranty, because there's so much liability on our end taking that burden to remove everything, it can get very, very costly. So to protect ourselves, the protection board is just another layer of the defense we have to protect us.
Yeah, and we are only
If-
using that theme over the flashing. So you're right. Well, the TechCrete is going to be over the entire area, and TechCrete is actually going to make concrete harder. So it's going to improve concrete. So we're not concerned about the areas where we have only 2,500. We are concerned about the areas where we have flashing, for example, of issues of roots and and the flashing. So that's why we are adding the protection board.
Okay, and I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I thought I saw in that picture the whole area.
So the protection, the drainage match.
The protection board will go out 6 inches from your bottom, and it will
Right.
go up to your dirt level.
Okay,
Now, this
that
this
photo
is
that
only
you showed.
No, go. What you were seeing there on that picture we showed, it was actually a 2-layer planer system. So it had an extra step up. So we put a small protection board at the bottom, and then on the top of that, there was on the second layer, we had the protection board on that top as well, just to protect everything. Now, this is only for the overburden warranty. If they're just getting a warranty without the overburden, the protection board is not required.
Got it.
This is only for the overburden warranty. Because if it's just getting a regular warranty and something happens, they're going to be responsible for removing the vegetation, the tree life, and the dirt for us to access it. But with the overburden, that responsibility is on us. So that's why we take in an extra step to give us another layer of defense, so we don't have to have that issue.
Yeah, and so I agree with protecting the joints because roots are amazing. They find unbelievable ways to damage material.
Yes.
Yeah, and the warranty fees for planters, they are different than the traditional warranty fees for other projects. So there's one specific warranty fee for overburden warranty. All right. Anything else?
Mario, I want to ask another questions.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember there are some clients, met contractors. They ask about this method too. Yeah. For example, they want to, make suspended gardens at the rooftop. Yeah, so they will put some trees and any vegetations there, and it's like a planter, like planter too, right? They ask
Yeah,
if,
your green roofs are a little bit different from planters because they sit on top of the roof. They don't have the walls and stuff. They're basically there at the roof line. So there will be just a little difference in that. Those would require a root guard over a drainage mat just to protect that way. So that's really going to be your only change, is adding a root guard material before the dirt and the vegetation goes in.
yeah, they asking about the matter of the root of any vegetation can penetrate into the concrete applied with the TechCrete or Crete Pro products, because usually sometimes they apply coating with anti-root system, anti-root coating like that. So can the root become problems to the concrete which has already applied with TechCrete or Crete Pro?
Roots are always going to be a problem, even with a coating. Fortunately, roots have a very high survival and they're very good at getting to sunlight. They will go through 8 inches of concrete like it's nothing just to get the sunlight, no matter what you have on there. So that's why we add the extra root barriers and drainage mats and stuff like that in there to help with that. But there is almost really no way to 100% stop it. You can get it to about a 90% certainty, but if a root or a weed gets underneath that somehow, the concrete somehow, and wants to come up to sunlight, unfortunately it will.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
One question for me. Would you advise your contractors that are putting this down, that are not going for the warranty and so forth, just to protect them, to do the board system also?
We would recommend it, or I would recommend just like a root guard mesh material. It's just a cloth material that they could put in as they're filling in, that will actually help from the roots and stuff like that get into the walls.
Okay.
I mean, I'll always recommend it, but with it not being a overburden warranty, we're not going to enforce it.
Right.
I think we had a question from John.
Yeah, I was curious to see the application gun. I don't know if they use 2 separate guns or not. It's just more of an application question. If they use the same one, what was the cleaning process in order to be able to use both materials through the same gun, or if they use the second one?
They use the same gun, and it's the same process as you would with your backpack sprayer. What they would do, they would get a couple clean buckets of water, or they'll hook that machine there actually has a hose hookup that they can hook up to a water hose and hit the button, and it would run clean water through the system until the pump was clean.
And John, our 2 cents about that is that the spray equipments, they're so inexpensive, like the backpack sprayer or this one, that's just better to have one for each. You can absolutely wash them after the application, but only have with the possibility of not washing very well and having the gel formation inside. It's just easier if you have 2 sprayers, one for the waterproofing, the other one for crack and void and accelerating agent.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. See you guys next week.
It was great to see your beautiful face. See ya.
Thanks,
Thank
Rady.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.